All right. This is Devlog 2. Today is July 26th, 2025. It's currently 10:15 p.m. First thing I'm going to go through is just what I've been working on for the last 2 to 3 days. So, we'll get into the game so I can actually showcase it all. First and foremost, I added a command line just to make it a little easier to do testing between how actual survival mode works and how the God mode that I've created works. So the way you access that is with the tilde, and then if I type in God, it'll put me in God mode. There's no like thing that tells you you're in God mode, which I should probably add, but not yet. So all God mode allows you to do is just instantly break stuff. I also want to add the ability for you to fly around and enable or disable collisions. The other thing I want to add for the command line is the ability to give yourself items, so that, if you want a tool or a certain number of items, you can just spawn those in relatively easily. Also, a bug I just discovered that I have not checked. You can place down your tools and it just deletes them, so that's not great. We'll be looking into that. Besides that, as I mentioned before, God mode or survival mode actually allows you to use tools to break stuff, so everything is no longer insta break. So if I go ungod, make sure I'm not in God mode. You can see a pickaxe cannot break. I'm clicking really faster. Pickaxe can't break dirt, and a shovel can't break cobble. A pickaxe can't break cobble, and a shovel can break grass and dirt. So right now I have it set so that a pickaxe takes away 50 block health and a shovel takes away 50 block health, and that grass, dirt, and stone all have 50 health, or all have 100 health, sorry, so it's just 2 clicks. There's also a system to detect what is being clicked, and rather than like creating a game object there, if you detect, just detecting where you're clicking, determining the tile that you're clicking on, and then I have 2 dictionaries keeping track of the health and a timer for that tile. And all the timer does is after 10 seconds, if the block hasn't been broken from that first click, it'll just wipe everything clean, so it's not constantly having to check whether someone's clicking that. I've greatly expanded the definition of what an item is. So I'll go into VS Code here. Just added a bunch of new variables just to allow myself to do more stuff with it. I'm going to be adding a ton more. I'm not even close to having all the stuff. There's going to be a lot more. I'm not sure what a lot of that is going to be in, but I know there is going to be a lot more. Oh yeah, I redid all of these sprites. So pause real quick so we can zoom in a little bit. I redid all of the grass sprites, all the dirt sprites, and all the cobblestone sprites just to make it look not shit. It looks a lot better now. So yeah, I also made sprites obviously for a pickaxe, a shovel, and I actually did make one for an axe. So when I add in trees, I can have that. I also started working on a player sprite, but it's absolutely dog shit, so I'm not going to show you that yet until I'm more confident with how it looks, but I have started one. So I'm not using this little random, generic dude. And lastly is I have a very, very complex grassy dirt rule tile and a fairly complex dirt rule tile. That one's actually not that bad. But in order to actually get the grassy dirt to do what I wanted it to do, I had to make a custom rule tile, which I'll show right here. So this is my custom rule tile. So instead of just looking for this or not this, I expanded it to have an additional 4 scenarios. So this is just looking if it is that kind of item. Not this is looking for if it's not that item. Any is looking for if it is any block. So just basically not air. Specified is an array that I can specify for what blocks to look for. Nothing is looking for basically air. And then something else is looking for a block that is not the current block. So it doesn't include air, and it does not include the current block. The reason I had to expand it to that is, we'll take a look at the game real quick. The way I wanted to have the sprites work is, if you have something that's going into like the top, it sort of cuts off, because I didn't want grass to be on the top. That just didn't really make sense to me. As well as if I put cobblestone down, I wanted to have the dirt sort of cut off here, right? Or the grass sort of cut off here, just to make it look a little bit nicer and not like everything's like super intertwined. I'm thinking about adding another tool that allows you to switch between sort of the cutoff and the flat, so that if you're building something, you can sort of customize it to be what you want it to be. But the thing I'm absolutely not going to do is allow grass to be on the roof. I just don't like the look of that very much. So yeah, that's that. The dirt, no, both the dirt and the grass row tiles still need some more work. You can see how there's sort of these different colors of brown. I'm sort of calling that like the wetness of the dirt. So you have dry dirt, you have like semi-dry dirt, and then wet dirt. So for example, here, wherever something's exposed to air, I want that to be dry. So if we look here, you sort of have this dry section here. I want that to go all the way around to the top of the air. So I need to make custom dirt tiles that have that sort of band of dry dirt, just to make, you know, everything a bit more uniform. Another problem you can also see over here is this like band sort of just cuts off, you know, flat. I want that to sort of properly expand up to here so it looks more natural. But yeah, that's the rule tiles. The world is still the same size. But I guess that sort of leads into things that I want to work on in the future. First and foremost, in order to allow the world to be bigger without having performance issues, chunk loading. So the game will sort of load pillars. I'm not sure how big I want that chunk size to be yet, but essentially pillars in groups, and we'll unload those as you move along. I want to add 2 additional biomes right now. There's just, you know, like a normal plains biome or whatever you want to call it. I want to add a desert and a tundra, just to give some variation and allow myself to play around with different features and how those things will interact. And then for actual things to do with the game, trees, ores, and caves, just to give the game some more depth, so it sort of is no longer just pick thing up, place thing down. You can start looking into more crafting and stuff like that. So crafting isn't quite on the plan yet, but it's coming up. I mentioned that. Oh, in terms of UI, another thing I want to get working and then start prepping is a health bar. And actually, no, I didn't think of that before, but another utility that would be good to have for the command line is to give or take health from player. Sorry for the typing if you all can hear that, I'm not sure. I don't want to write this down before I forget it. And then the last thing is I want to add a proper title screen with bits and bobs and sort of have that be able to turn off. Again, I don't want to have to be, you know, going through a title screen every time I boot the game to test something. So just being able to go straight into it and then switch that off and have an actual title screen for the game. But yeah, that is Devlog 2. Guess I'll see you whenever I make the next one. Who knows when that's going to be. But yeah, see y'all later.